At the dawn of a new era, the inception of a great nation, we stood at the front lines of victory, watching keenly as the Union Jack was pulled down to pave way for the symbol of peace, love and unity. This was the first liberation, a chance at rebirth and the absolution of all past transgressions. Nothing mattered except hope. Hope is not just the feeling of expectation, but the feeling that all those expectations will come alive in our lifetime. Hope is what tied us together as we danced in unity and prayed, "O God of all creation, bless this, our land and nation." Hope was seated amongst us as we discussed the new opportunities awaiting us, and hope did not abandon her children, but was their shield and defender at a time when she was all they had. Our great land flourished with promise, and the fight for independence was now a prominent story, part of a rich history that would mark the foundation of Kenya. We stood on the shoulders of great men and women that made it possible for us to enjoy this freedom, and indeed plenty was found within our borders. This was Kenya's time for an upward turn, a time to make the journey worth it. Let one and all arise, they said. It was not to be, as the country entered a period of social stratification that led to much bigger problems that have plagued us until today. The dark days previously cast upon us were now once again hanging over our heads when we found new ways to ensure we were further divided than when our colonizers left us. An era characterized with political repression and revolutionary terror was to befall the great nation of Kenya, and many fallen heroes to go down with its tumbling walls. Draped in fear and uncertainty, we all recalled a time when we sang, "And our homeland of Kenya, heritage of splendor, firm may we stand to defend." But the joy of that song had long left the ones for who it was intended. Thrown into a whirlwind of bad governance and corruption, the country was at a standstill, with everyone seeking answers and once again looking to the promises of those early days when our country was born. The second liberation in Kenya happened when some brave leaders took it upon themselves to fight the good fight. They stood up for Kenyans who could not speak up on these matters. They fought to open the democratic space and to start the trend of demanding accountability from sitting governments. We all remember Saba Saba as a time that started this dialogue. These brave leaders suffered at the hands of power along those lonely corridors of justice that favored only but a few. Some were detained, tortured, and forced to denounce their mission, but upon release continued to fight for the freedoms we enjoy today. Freedoms we cannot take for granted. Freedoms that govern how we live.
To you and welcome to Opinion 2017. Now this proves to be a dark Thursday, a day where some unfortunate developments have taken place in the National Assembly, a day where Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino is still in police custody, and it is being said that more charges could be preferred against him. James Agre Orengo, Senior Counsel, did tweet on Monday that dark days are here. And I'm joined in studio today by two members of Parliament, one from Migori County, Engineer Mark Nyamita, Member of Parliament for Uriri. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Asante sana.
Congratulations for being elected.
Thank you very much.
And I'm also joined by Madare, Member of Parliament, an advocate of the High Court, Mheshimiwa Anthony Oluoch. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Thank you very much.
What's the difference between a lawyer and an advocate of the High Court?
A lawyer is somebody who has gone through law school,
yes,
and has attained a degree called the LLB degree.
LLB degree.
And then decides to do whatever he wants to do.
Other things.
Yeah, with it. he becomes a lawyer, but never can step into a court of law, cannot address the High Court because he has not gone to the Kenya School of Law and has not been admitted into the role of advocates.
Yes, and an advocate?
An advocate has gone through the Kenya School of Law. You are PLO Lumumba is.
Yes.
You have attained a diploma in law. And then you have petitioned the Chief Justice and you have been admitted into the role of advocates. That entitles you now to stand before a court of law and address the court. You're an advocate as opposed to a lawyer.
Is that why some people whom we know as supposedly prominent lawyers were quiet during the petition?
Yes, a lot of people never stepped anywhere near the front bench at the Supreme Court for very obvious reasons that they do not have the right to address the court. If it was the former Court of Appeal Judge, Justice Onyango, he said, you're a stranger to this court. We don't even see you. We are not even seeing you. You cannot address the court.
Karibu sana mheshimiwa.
Thank you.
Now, we are going through a difficult time as a nation. I mean, there's been a lot of things that have unfolded since the presidential elections were annulled by the Supreme Court. It appears every single institution or individual who dares to stand up to the regime is ending up being targeted. Now, your colleague, Babu Owino, has been charged with, I guess, more than one offense. And there is now this talk of Mtoto Wambo. I don't know if I'll be interfering with the court process by mentioning that. But I just want us to understand, what is it that Babu Owino said that was so different from what has been said by Moses Kuria or even Uhuru himself? And just to kick us off, let's have a look at this clip, Uhuru speaking in Turkana.
Uhuru akona haja na mafuta ya wengine, ashindwe na sheitani mshenzi. Mimi napitisha sheria, ni bunge. Mimi ni kuweka naweka kidole. Alafu mjinga anakuja kusema hapa ati mimi nafanya mambo ya Uhuru akona.
Gentleman, Mheshimiwa, first of all, what has Babu been charged with? And what is it that he has said that is so away from what we have seen? I mean, we're just in the head of state saying Shetani, Mjinga. I don't know, is he likely to be arrested?
I think we are returning back to the dark old days, and there are people who think that for the first time since Moi exited power, this charge called subversion has been used for the very, very first time. That tells you a lot, that we must prepare ourselves for very dangerous times. It is not times for the faint-hearted. In other words, subversion means if you say anything that appears to be suggesting that you are either saying the government of the day has ceased to have legitimacy in any way, in whatever words you use, suggest that this government should now go. And there are very many ways in which the government can go. Remember that the Constitution at Article 1 says that sovereign power first belongs to the people. And that the power we have given to Uhuru Kenyatta, to the executive, even to us parliamentarians, it is delegated power. Now, the very same power that he was trying to say was usurped by Maraga, the Wakoras, and you know we are talking here about the language that has been used by the chief executive of the country. He called these people Wakoras, and that these four people have usurped the will of the people. But let us be clear that the Chief Justice was acting not as Maraga, but as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Kenya. The President is also a President. And remember, he is also exercising judicial power. It belongs to the people. And if you look at the articles I've referred to, it says that delegated power and the sovereign will is dispersed. It's exercised by the president on behalf of the executive. It's exercised also by the judiciary. So when Maraga was sitting there and is calling him Mukora, he is also exercising the sovereign will of the people. So now back to the Babu statement. You may not agree with what Babu has said. I may not myself pronounce them. But why are we employing double standards? Moses Kuria has used unpalatable language. His president himself in Turkana used words you cannot utter again in respect of the Turkana governor. He's used that in Kajiado and Narok. He's used that in very many occasions in a manner that does not conform or sit well with Article 75 of the Constitution. And that article says that when you sit in an office, you need to do things and say things that bring dignity and honor.
To that office.
To that office. And the president must lead by example. So when Babu said, and I want to put this into context, that Jammeh was removed and Gaddafi was removed and other presidents have been removed. And so, I mean, the same can be done, and there are lawful means in which we can remove through an election, through the direct exercise of sovereignty of the will of the people. And then he went on and said the statement that he said, which you may not agree with, but remember that charge sheet as I looked at it. It did not mention the word Uhuru Kenyatta. It did not mention the word Uhuru Kenyatta. So we must put this into perspective. If it is proper to charge Babu with subversion, let us start with the president, let us go to Moses Kuria, and let us go to all these people, Murkomen and the rest who've used similar language.
Mheshimiwa Nyamita, as a lawmaker, I mean, I remember growing up in the 90s, I would hear people being locked up, there was detention without a trial. There seems to be new powers that police are having. I mean, police appear to be operating on a different set of laws. Apart from what we know is in the Constitution, it appears to be normal that you can be picked up, locked up, denied bail, depending on the mood and the whims of the officer in charge.
I just want to say, yesterday I didn't sleep. I actually stayed awake the whole night. I was just trying to wonder, in this new role that I am in, really, is this what I really bargained for? I asked myself this question, especially after the Babu incident.
Yes.
Because when I played and replayed the clip from Babu, and I'm actually thinking, really, why Babu didn't call anyone's name? Babu didn't say anything that is out of this order. And I want to associate myself with part of the statement that Babu made, that presidents have been removed by the people because the power is with the people.
Right.
And I have every confidence to say that even the government that we have now, even if they want to arrest me probably after this interview, I have every confidence that the people in this country are going to remove Jubilee from parliament, from government. So I think that is what actually pained them. I don't think it is the other part of the statement. Because when you talk about foul language is the order of the day. This is a president who has called everyone all manner of names.
Oh, yeah.
The vice president, including the president, continue to refer to the NASA principal as a mganga in every other forum that they're talking. So, you know, the office of the presidency, and I don't want to talk about the person himself. The
office itself.
The office in itself needs to have some honor, which they have totally brought down. You know, we have seen this president in public drinking when he was in Kisumu with a big jug. Now, let me tell you.
And a whole GSU officer doing a salute while he's doing that.
Absolutely. You know, when we do this from the presidency, I remember a very simple thing. When I was in high school, I used to look at the jeans trouser that my teacher was putting on, and I was just dying for that day.
Your teacher had jeans. That must have been a cool school.
It was a Savco jeans, to be precise. And I used to say, the day I actually get out of this school and I get money.
The first thing.
That was my first role model.
Yes.
The president is a role model for every other person. So when he goes and the police is saluting and the president is drinking, what are we really talking about?
Is that why perhaps in certain parts of the country we have a drinking problem?
And this very president, 2-3 months before, has gone to Kiambu and Muranga trying to reprimand people that don't drink. Go and work, go and do. I mean, really. So what we are talking about is that the president in itself is the one that has lost honor. They've brought dishonor to the institution of the presidency. But specifically what happened to Babu.
Yes.
Babu is not an ordinary citizen. Right. Babu is an elected member of parliament.
Yes.
So even if he has committed something, I mean, he didn't murder anyone. Such statements, it's a bailable offense. So I was there on the day that Orengo actually was blocked outside. I happened to actually have gone inside. And we were there. And, you know, one of the CID officers told us, you know, we have instructions. We have instructions to keep him here. And we asked him, why are we charging him? I said, no, we are waiting for what to charge him with. And I have even on my phone, the charges that they actually put in on that very day are different with what actually they presented in court. On the very day, today, and my colleague here talks about that he was charged with subversion. But on that night, I was there, as Babu was signing his statement, they had said he had incited the public to violence.
Wow.
So we are really, and this morning we were in Parliament. I tell you, when you find these people are saying there is no problem with IEBC, there is absolutely no problem. In fact, when NASA has raised the issues to be addressed by IEBC, there's no problem. When they come through Parliament, they want to amend laws because they are saying IEBC is not properly. You understand?
Okay, hold on to that. We'll get to that. Let me just go through quick comments. Vicario Mwando, you're saying pool of fraudsters in Jubilee must stop doublespeak and hypocrisy because in any reckless talks anything to go by, then Moses Kuria, Sonko, Ruto, and even Uhuru ought to be in jail. Janet, you're saying frustrating Babu only propels him higher and higher. Mheshimiwa Watch, due process. Let's even assume Babu was guilty of whatever charge. Due process, even going back to the ruling of the Supreme Court, due process, if I have committed an offense here and now, me as Morris, what should happen to me? Let me have you answer that as soon as we watch this clip. Please play for me that clip of the lawyers and how Babu had just been released and rearrested in a very uncouth fashion.
Why? No, we are going back to the court. No, why? No, but what is the problem? No, what is the problem? No, what are you saying? What is the problem? What are you saying? What are you doing? No, I'm not saying. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you posting? What are you posting? What are you doing? No, what are you doing?
I mean, I've just watched Otiende Amolo being manhandled. I mean, there's Caleb Amisi, MP for Saboti, other lawyers. I mean, isn't there a decent way of... I mean, that's what I was asking about due process, Mheshimiwa. What ought to happen? I mean, this is insane.
In civilized societies, when you are required to be arrested, somebody actually, and I don't even want to go far, let's go as close as Tanzania.
Yes.
They will come to you, address you in all your full honors,
right,
and tell you, tafadhali, naomba nikushike, ama naomba tuelekee pamoja, tuende police station. There is a decent way in which you do that. And we are talking here about a member of parliament. A member of parliament who has the support and has been sent there by his constituents.
Correct.
Over 40,000 people. And remember that now that he's member of parliament, he represents the over 100 and something members of parliament. So to arrest that person in the manner, the
and
crude
treat his
manner
lawyer in that fashion
that they did, and in the presence of his lawyer, a very reputable lawyer and respected statesperson of this country,
right,
I think bespeaks and behooves the Jubilee administration, takes us way back beyond even the Moi days and down to the colonial era. This is something that is unforeseen. It should not happen in this age of the 21st century.
Luembe Mwafungo, you're saying Kenya is number 3 in Africa for alcohol drinking. Well, I don't know when that survey was done, and probably who is number 1 or 2. Winnie Ngete, you're saying, I'm afraid for this country. I mean, Mheshimiwa, watching that video, if that can happen to a member of parliament, how about just an ordinary boy or girl or any citizen arrested for whatever reasons? And these policemen, they appear to be on very specific firm instructions from particular quarters.
I just want to tell the police officers, and yesterday when we were addressing ourselves to the press, I actually also want to take this forum to ask the Inspector General of Police and tell him that he is there serving on our behalf. And he must know that even the position that he is holding, the Inspector General of Police, is courtesy of the new constitution, whereby the people now he is actually opposing fought for so hard.
Yes.
Otherwise, people like him probably would have never seen the inside of that very office that they are now abusing. And the police officers, the rank and file of the police, should also know that times change. When this other new government comes in, which is definite,
yes,
what will happen? You will expect this government to improve your living standards. You are still living in squalor, and you are still being pushed to mistreat members of parliament, especially lawyers, who can even help you to improve your living standards. They have totally missed it. I want to ask the police in a very special way to work within the confines of the law, to do the right thing. You cannot manhandle someone like they actually did within court. I also want to ask the judiciary that I know they have to apply the law as it is, but they really need to also study the mood of the country and be able to understand. They should not, like today, you know, Babu was in court at 10 o'clock. They have pushed the ruling to 4 o'clock. Actually, they wanted to push it to tomorrow. And they said, no, give us a ruling. And they might say, okay, we are going to detain him for whatever reasons. We are asking them, let them read the mood of the law. But back to what is happening all across. Right. I can tell you, personally, I have not even got my security. I have applied and, okay,
oh, really?
Yes, I hope they are actually going to release the security. I was there the other day and they're going to do it. But what we are saying, I saw this issue of even security. They withdrew the security for the NASA principles.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually what we're coming to.
And I watched the cabinet secretary, who again is a beneficiary. The seat that he's holding now as a cabinet secretary, he would never have been in that position. Because had we been with this old constitution, the cabinet ministers, the ministers would be picked from parliament.
Yeah, have to be
and you can be sure no one would have voted someone, if that is the reasoning of someone we had actually held in very high esteem like Matiang'i. When he comes and says, the prime minister loitering from one press conference to the next, he is not having the security at the whims of Matiang'i. He is entitled to.
Correct.
This is a gentleman who is representing
prize personal Odinga safe.
You cannot. What happened? So that if this in the will come out will do this to and I want to repeat Article 2
I mean,
of choice at this. With you
Let's that been
one election. And Germany every single point A there's a National Commissioner. Their way, we will have our say, and a big say at that.
Before we get to Mheshimiwa Loch, Slow Kennedy, the sound has been sorted. It's back. Mheshimiwa, you were in Bunge also in the morning. What are we looking at?
I get very disturbed when I see us going back 2 years back when we passed the security laws.
Right.
Thank God to a strong and independent judiciary. 80 or so % of that law was. But you can remember that evening, and people fought in Parliament. Senator Mudama and other people's trousers were torn. Moses Kuria was trying to assault indecently Millie Odhiambo, and I see ourselves headed in that direction. You see, the Supreme Court said that an election will take place in 60 days. It was not an ordinary election. Yes. It is not another election. They said carry out an election in strict compliance with the law. Right. That is the existing law. So the point then that we must ask is that when the Constitution contemplated a general election under one set of law, was it permissible or possible that after being beaten, a party commanding a majority can change the rules to suit them for the rerun. They have been told comply with the law. That law cannot change.
So whatever is happening in Parliament now will not affect this coming election.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to effect this in time for the October 26th. And we are trying to argue it is not permissible in law. You cannot change rules in the middle of a match. It is not possible. The same laws that they want to try and change, manual transmission to be above the electronic transmission or to take precedent of electronic transmission, the question of the forms trying to say that the forms can also be sent alongside when we were saying under Section 44 and Section 39, that you transmit simultaneously the result. Yeah? The scant result comes with the word text. Now they're saying that somebody from Turukana can make a journey and come and get lost in the middle of the way. Kivitu was telling us, I cannot trace the person. The third point that I want to make is that we have about 300 and something other election petitions for other seats. These seats are premised on the existing law.
Yes.
How will you change those when somebody has already gone and challenged those in court? 303 petitions. They are an attempt to try and circumvent the petitions that are already in court. Fourth and most important, there is a principle in natural justice that you call the rule against bias. And then the rule that you cannot be a judge in your own cause. Uhuru Kenyatta is a candidate for an election cycle already declared. An election cycle was declared on the 1st of September.
Nimefurahi sana kufika Nandi County. Mungu awabariki. Huyu ni kiongozi ya vijana Nandi County. Nimefurahi sana kufika Nandi County. Mungu awabariki.
Huyu ni kiongozi wa vijana ya pesa.
To those laws. Can he sit as a judge to preside over laws and regulations that are meant to assist him in an election that has already been declared? No, it cannot happen.
Mheshimiwa Nyamita, we are just starting to wrap up. Probably we'll deal with this question as you give your final remarks. Are you foreseeing a free, fair, credible, verifiable election in this environment that both the executive and now Parliament, courtesy of tyranny of numbers, is creating attacks on the judiciary, individual attacks, an atmosphere of insecurity? Do you get the feeling that Jubilee do not want elections?
Thank you very much. Let me talk about, you're asking about whether I'm foreseeing a credible election. You should have asked whether I'm seeing any elections in the first place.
Well,
within the current environment. I mean, our position as a coalition is that there are simply not going to be elections. At least I can tell you there will be no elections in Uriri if these people don't change. There will be no election.
Nimefurahi sana kuonja nyama.
My legal friend.
Ni mara yangu ya
so there will be no elections with these people in place. And we are not asking for anything that is favorable to us. We are just asking for a level playing ground. And he brought in an argument and he said, cards are open. I mean, everything is on the table. I mean, part of the things that we'll put on the table are issues to do with secession. We can go for a referendum and everyone goes their own way.
Yes.
I mean, we don't have to be in a forced marriage. In fact, in my dialect, they talk about that even a child is born and dies. Yeah, if I said it in the actual, even a child can be born and will die. I'm saying, if we cannot, we are happy to cooperate with our guys in their country as we are in our country. We will still be within here. Because even now I can still travel to Uganda. It's just a boundary. It's just a gate, really.
It's a boundary. Yeah.
It is possible for us to put it here, so that we know we don't have to struggle over each other and things like that. So we can say, when I am living here, to going to the Central Republic, I go to Central Republic as from the Democratic
People's Republic
of Kenya. I come from this other side. And I get clearance. I'm happy to get sick clearance. Even when I'm going to get a job in that other country, they will give me a work permit if that may. So what we're talking about. So one, there is not going to be any elections as contemplated in the Constitution. An election that all Kenyans are going to participate. So if we agree to amend, today our colleagues were actually, there was a bipartisan meeting at Bomasani. As we were sitting, they reached a settlement. Because these guys have coming and they're trying to push certain agendas which actually only suits them. So we're saying there's not going to be elections. If we hold the playing field, and in the very unlikely event that they win, we will work with them. And the word here is in the very unlikely event. And if we win, or when we win, in a level playing ground, we will not want to victimize the guys on the other side and start saying, oh, now you guys are in the opposition. Let us build Kenya for the future. And I want to challenge my colleagues in Parliament that today, as they behave and as they want to change the laws in Parliament, their children are watching, their families are watching, their communities are watching. When it will turn the other way around, now when they are becoming victims, that the laws that they passed are now affecting their own children, their own community, they will have it on their shoulders.
Mheshimiwa, two things as you also wrap up. The involvement, there's a lot of talk about involvement of Mungiki. It's also being said that some of those sect members were sent or supposedly to be sent.
Habari zenu majamaa, muko tayari ama nyinyi ni watu wa kubahatisha Kenya hii? Muko tayari? Niko na mtoto wa my friend. Muko tayari kumusikiliza?
It's very interesting that
Joe, my friend,
the leader of majority, as part of their justification or basic proposed amendments, they cited the ruling of Njoki Ndung'u. I have never known in any court of law
Wagwan Kenya
where a dissenting opinion
hamjambo,
the basis for which you want to take
nimefurahi.
There was a decision, and that decision was not the decision of Maraga or Mwili.
Nimefurahi de kuwa hapa mara ya pili.
Supreme Court.
Watu wa Jumba mko sawa
to say I disagree and this is my opinion. That opinion is like an obiter. When you read
naomba wananchi
there is usually the binding part of a judgment.
Naomba wananchi tupige kura na amani
to say this is another aspect of somebody else's thought.
Yes.
It cannot found the basis of like Jubilee now wants to change the nini. So you can see a very choreographed attempt, things that had been pre-planned.
Right.
And there are questions as to how Njoki Ndung'u, and we have a lot of respect for her, how, you know, she was able to, within that short time, write a 400 and something
Well, I hear
judgment.
some people read faster, right?
Yeah, you could also be read for, written for faster. And then also, like, there was these are serious questions of conduct. When a case has been opened and closed, a report was written on behalf of the Supreme Court, witnessed by officers of the Supreme Court. How can you as a civil judge go in the quiet and darkness of the night, open up documents without supervision, say then that I did my own checking, and then you come and present a case on behalf of the respondent, which the respondents never put, and which we didn't have time to. These things are too choreographed. They're too choreographed.
Okay, 30 seconds as you wrap up. You're going to see Babu Owino?
Yes, as I wrap up, I think it is important that as members of parliament, these are tough times. If it's happening to Babu, it will happen to me. It will happen to the member of parliament for the rural constituency of Uriri.
Why did you have to emphasize on the rural
No. I mean, I tell her that if it is happening to Babu,
yes, it will
happen to me in my rural setup.
Yes.
Like it will happen
to
him in
sana hapa Kawangiri County.
And the slums never has a bigger capacity per capita income than the rural.
Kawangware County.
So we're actually going to Babu.
Yes.
Yes.
And not because it's Babu Owino.
Yes.
Even this, if this were, I want to say on my own behalf, even if this was happening to a Jubilee member, we would still go in solidarity for the greater Kenya.
Yeah, Dr. Martin Luther King did assert that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, you can support NASA or NASA's presidential candidate, His Excellency Engineer Dr. Raila Amolo Odinga, by sending your contribution to paybill number 991444. You can also show support to Babu Owino by heading to the Milimani Locots, or is it Kibera? Kibera Locots at 4 p.m. Thank you for watching and goodbye.